All right, we're starting off this bulletin with some latest news coming in from the United States. This is a shocking incident that happened outside Frisco City Hall in Texas, which has triggered outrage online after a viral video showed a man tearing up an Indian flag while protesters chanted anti-India slogans. Though this act, in fact, I beg your pardon, lasted only a few moments, it has quickly become the latest flashpoint in a growing debate over immigration, identity, and the rising influence of the Indian American community in the city. The flag-tearing incident did not occur in isolation. Protesters at the gathering were also seen displaying banners carrying messages such as "Stop Hindu Takeover" and "Stop the Hindu Invasion" slogans that have drawn sharp criticism from civil rights advocates and members of the Indian American community. Now, critics are arguing that the messaging crossed the line from political protest into targeting a specific ethnic and religious group. The demonstration comes amid an ongoing controversy in Frisco, where some anti-immigration activists have repeatedly raised concerns about the city's changing demographics and the growing presence of Indian Americans in business, education, and local politics. Over the past several months, public meetings and online campaigns have featured claims of an alleged Indian takeover of the city, rhetoric that many residents and community leaders have condemned as discriminatory. Joining us on this broadcast is Major General Sudhakarji, who is a senior geopolitical and defense expert. Thank you so much, General, for taking out your time and for speaking to NewsX. We appreciate it. Obviously, this is an incident that has triggered sharp response and criticism online, sir. But this is something that we as Indians also should raise, because this is not just targeting immigration, this is targeting a particular ethnic and religious group.
Yeah, Shivani, good afternoon. Thank you for taking me on the phone up. My frank view as a citizen of India, I totally agree with you. But being a ex-retired general, I would stay away from making any comment which are oriented towards religion or politics. But I think this is beyond the religion and politics. This is a thing which is being, by devious means, it is being proliferated all over. And the start point happens to be the soil of USA. That has to be taken cognizance of. It's a very serious thing. And it needs to be joined up, and the cumulative impact has to be assessed. A few days back, the Deputy Secretary of State Department of USA, he comes, he attends the Raisina dialogue, and he makes a statement that USA will not allow India to become the second China. And ahead of it and behind it, if you join up all the events, you talk about the reciprocal tariff, talk about the explicit that were used by Donald Trump and his coterie, calling it as a hellhole or a country which is a dead economy, and all these things put together, it reflects that it is the handiwork of some deep-rooted conspiracy from the soil of USA, and Pakistani Chief of the Army Staff has the temerity to go and threaten nuclear holocaust from the soil of USA. So unless there is a tacit blessing or covert or overt blessing for all this, things will not take off in that direction. And behind all this, we understand, unfortunately, everything is decided and ruled by the deep state of USA. One always thought that Pakistan's deep state was worst in the world. But then the superpower is turning out to be no good. It is overtaken a state like Pakistan. Back to Shivan.
Absolutely, General. I'll request you to stay on with us. Also joining us on the broadcast is Joyita Basu, the editor of the Sunday Guardian. Thank you so much, ma'am, for taking out your time and for speaking to NewsX. But this is an incident that has obviously drawn criticism, ma'am. How are you looking at this anti-India rhetoric that's growing across America?
Well, the fact of the matter is that what really bothers me is that, they're tearing up the Indian flag. As for the Indians, I mean, I don't even know how many of them are actually Indians. or green card holders, or they are actually NRIs. Frankly, beyond a point, I don't really. I think they called it upon themselves. They got. I mean, they will be going there and staying there, leaving their own country. So obviously, you will have to face certain situations. It is their country, it is not your country, and the thing is that you may have become residents over there, but the fact of the matter is that you should have known that America, a large part of America is extremely racist. There, I mean, awful people over there you have over there, but at the same time, we have seen people who are extremely nice, but then this section also exists. And the fact is that given the kind of hype that is going on in India, about India and Indians, about how a minuscule population is apparently taking over India. Well, they should have been prepared for this. What really bothers me is that they are targeting India. I mean, when you're talking about Indians, as I said, we do not know whether they're actually even Indians. Okay, they could be American citizens. I mean, their skin is perhaps brown. But you see, this is something I think the Indian government and the embassies over there, embassy and the consulates over there, they need to take up with the U.S. government is that you control your people. They have no business tearing up India's flag. And as for, and again, I'm going to go back to the people, the Indians staying there. I mean, if you want to go and make a life abroad, you will have to take these risks into account. Why should I be bothered about that?
Absolutely, absolutely, Ms. Basu. Let me also rope in General Sudhakarji, who's still with us on this broadcast. General, I also want to understand from your perspective, since we're seeing a growing incidence of such kind of anti-India slogans or anti-India acts across America, do you believe that it is time now that the government should step in, that officials should step in, maybe the embassy should raise this issue up?
Shivani, my penny's worth advice to the government of India would be not to get rattled up. This is a conspiracy we all have understood. It is not for the first time or thing like this. So far it was happening in countries like, Canada, UK, those Five Eyes countries, USA off and on, but it was not as present and as blatant as it's being presented. A national flag of a country, this is the last thing that can ever happen. On one hand, you call that India is a strategic partner without giving a conclusive end to the ongoing trade talks. And the other hand, you encourage the people tearing on the flag, national flag, and the law enforcement agency, which were so active for Venezuela. Why aren't they actually doing a thing like this, containing the situation like this? So these double standards have to be understood. We should not get rattled up, but at the same time, we should not ignore it. We should call it out. There is a requirement to diplomatic means and communications have a method to protest. We should protest it loud and enough, and we should actually give it in writing that these things have to stop. And second thing is, don't bend down for the trade deal. And like 2019, we had given them a retaliatory kind of a response in couple of products. And Joe Biden, when he came back to power, he lifted the embargo and the tariff sanctions which Donald Trump had imposed on India. So similarly, if the tariff, despite the Supreme Court of USA having given a tight slap to the orders of Donald Trump, executive orders on tariff, still he goes on to impose 12.5% additional one.
Right.
So India has got all the rights to actually resort back in the foreign policy, Shivani, only one line. Apart from strategic autonomy, it's time that we start inserting a term called a reciprocity. If a country doesn't behave, you give it back in the same coin. Do not raise the ante. Let's not up the ante. Let the ante continue. If they're tearing off a flag, there is no dearth of people in India who will also tear off. That, well, one has to balance up.
Okay.
If a dog is biting you, does it mean that you will keep biting the dog back? No, that is not a philosophy. But one needs to actually put things on an escalatory matrix, and the stage will come wherein enough is enough. We cannot take it any further. So these have been provocated by people, by the leadership, I would say, without mincing any language and word. They are the ones who are provoking. They want to rattle and unsettle India in its path of growth towards a $30 trillion US economy. They are scared that India is going to overtake USA by 2038 in PPP terms. They are scared that we'll be over them in technology, in science, research, development, everything.
All right.
That is what it is manifesting in these months.
Point taken, General. Thank you so much for your perspective on this issue. Let me also rope in Mr. Sumit Peer, who is a political analyst, who has also joined us on this broadcast. Thank you so much, sir, for taking out your time and for speaking to NewsX. But unfortunately, we are talking about a very shocking incident that has again occurred in Texas. These anti-India slogans, there are people who are sitting there and tearing up the Indian flags. I want to understand from your perspective, is this something that the government of India should take up with the authorities over there, or should we reciprocate in terms of trade, or what is your observation on this, sir?
Well, Shivani ji, the issue here is that you have to be very careful with such issues, because there are a lot of people who are trying to scuttle the India-US trade deal, and there are Chinese who have vested interest, and there's deep state, there are other people who want to do it. The best thing to do is that Indian government, Ministry of External Affairs, will take up with their counterparts in US. And anyway, Texas is ruled by the Republicans. There's a Republican government there. So these are the people who should be handling these hoodlums and these lumpenizement. There is no need of any reciprocation. We cannot keep on tearing American flags or hit by, trade or tariff barriers and all that, because that hurts our economy, not theirs. So the best way is let the Americans call it out, let the Americans take the action. Let's put sufficient pressure on Americans to do what they have to do, because they are their people, it is their country, and these lumpens must not be allowed to do this like this and run away with it. So it's very important for the government of America to be seen taking action, and it is very important for our MEA to put the appropriate pressure. And I think the population, this is the Prime Minister Modi, I think we won't be surprised that the Americans will be much more worried than us, because they have to answer to us what the hell happened just now and how could they let it happen. Their systematic failure cannot be a thing which hurts mutual interest of both the countries. And unless and until the American government says it's not my problem, then the things like reciprocation and other come into the picture. As long as they are able to control those elements.
Mr. Peer, I also want to understand from you, there is also this Hindu rhetoric that's going on, because apart from tearing up the Indian flag, they're targeting a very particular religious group and identity. They're saying stop the Hindu invasion, stop the Hindu takeover. What is the meaning of all these slogans, sir?
This is completely atrocious. These are those elements who are this white chauvinist males who usually believe in white supremacy, and they kind of hate everybody who is of a different color and identity. The problem is not Hindus. Hindus have helped to build America. Hindus are the pride of America. It is because of Hindus a lot of American MNCs are today standing and ruling the world. What they have to really worry about is these Palestinian gangs. They have to worry about the Arabs and coming and dominating their industry. They have to really worry about the influence of the Qatari money into their universities. That is what they should be very worried about. That is why I don't know who these elements are. At times they are all, these elements which are propped up by deep state, by vested interests to scuttle the relations. Rather than reacting on it at a face value, let us make this the problem of Americans and let Americans take note of it and get it right. We as a country are appalled. We are very unhappy with these kind of slogans because this is not appreciated. I'm very sure Mr. Jaiswal is going to take it up and he's going to make it public, the Indian government's reaction. And if Americans, let's say, for sake that it's not our problem and we don't know who they are, then as a country we have all the options available. And if you talk of Hindus of America, there are Sundar Pichai, Satya Nadella, and numerous such names who have built America. Right. And even people from Donald Trump to Elon Musk have acknowledged the contribution of Hindus in building the American society. So are they Pakistani agents? Is the Pakistani lobby at work? Is the deep state at work? And let me remind you, there was a Qatari NGO which had put billions of dollars in American universities and all to have these Palestinian gangs that are running around here and there. Now Americans have shut that yesterday only. So there are much serious things and people in America which they have to worry about. You don't worry about nation builders. You don't worry about the people who are 1% in size and pay 6% of your tax. You don't worry about the people who have 3 times the per capita income of yours. You don't worry about the people who have 70% bachelor's and more than 50% master's degrees. We are the people who are building your country, who have built your country, and who have contributed to your country. You have much serious
Absolutely.
problems to work at. Work at them now. Control these lumpens, control these hoodlums, and control these sponsored, wherever they come from. Fine, this is Qatar, this is Middle East, this is Pakistan.
Absolutely.
Whoever is paying them the money, it is the American problem and the Republican governor of Texas. It is his baby. Please control it. Please get them under the hook. And for Indian government, I think raising it to the MEA will be the most appropriate thing, and that is what the government of India is going to do.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Peer, for your perspective.